represents. He graduated from Dardanelle High School, Harvard University, and Harvard Law School. The 9/11 attacks occurred during Congressman Cotton's final year in law school, causing him to leave law after a clerkship with the U.S. Court of Appeals, a brief period in private practice to join the armed forces. He declined a commission as a JAG attorney, instead joined the United States Army as an infantry officer. Congressman Cotton served nearly 5 years in active duty, completing 2 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. He served in Iraq with the 101st Airborne. Hoorah. He served in Iraq with the 101st Airborne. We led an infantry platoon, daily combat patrols. Military decoration includes the Bronze Star Medal, Combat Infantryman's Badge, Ranger Tab. Between his 2 combat tours, Congressman Cotton served as a platoon leader with the Old Guard at Arlington National Cemetery. He then served in Afghanistan as Operation Officer for a provincial reconstruction team. After leaving active duty and before Congress, he worked as a management consultant for McKinsey and Company. I don't think anybody could mean more to you and to me to come share with us his heart right now than Congressman Tom Cotton. Tom.
Thank you. Thank you. Coach, thanks very much for that generous introduction, and thank you all for the warm welcome. My colleague, Steve Womack, I know, spoke to you at the opening ceremonies, but he didn't tell me that every time you stood up and sat down that it sounded like Christmas time with reindeer on the roofs and their bells. But I guess that's the sign of lots of great victors in the events over the last 3 days. But really, as it was said earlier, everyone here is a winner because of the occasions you've had to come to a beautiful part of the country and to compete, more importantly, to make new friends and to build new relationships. You know, we're in a time that only comes around every 4 years, the World Cup, and I know a lot of people have soccer fever, but it reminds me of an old joke that the only people who think that 3 points in an hour is exciting is a soccer fan and a preacher. So I'll try to make just 3 points in maybe 3 minutes. First, I just want to welcome you and say thank you for bringing the Golden Age Games to Northwest Arkansas. I know that you have found that Arkansas is a special place for veterans. As Steve Womack probably mentioned, he is a veteran himself. Coach mentioned my service. Our other 2 congressmen here, Tim Griffin and Rick Crawford, are military veterans as well, making us the only state whose entire congressional delegation in the House of Representatives are combat veterans. We also have a remarkably high number of veterans in our state, 250,000 in a state that has fewer than 3 million Arkansans. And we have one of the highest enlistment rates for any state in the Union for the next generation of warriors who wants to go off and fight for our freedoms overseas. And these great volunteers, as you've seen for the last 3 days, honor and esteem your service. So I want to say thank you for coming to our Northwest Arkansas. Thank you for letting us be a part of these games. Second, I want to honor and celebrate what the Golden Age Games stand for. The largest competition of their kind in the world. A chance, again, not just to stay physically fit and active, but to help each other, to become new friends, new comrades, or maybe even find old ones with whom you served or whose paths you crossed. Now, all of you who are veterans know that your physical fitness ethic started out at least on the first day of basic training, if not before. And you know the physical benefits of an active lifestyle, wellness and fitness. But I suspect many of you also know, whether you learned it in the military or learned it at a little bit more seasoned age, the spiritual aspect of exercise as well. I still remember on one of my very first patrols in Iraq, I was not even yet a platoon leader. I was still riding along with the outgoing platoon leader, that we were in a firefight. An Iraqi civilian died in my hands in the back of a Humvee because I was a private, essentially. I was learning the job, and I was not riding in the truck commander position, for those of you who know it. It's what we in the Army call shotgun. And once I got back to the base and we did all of our debriefing, the first thing I did was go to our gym to go for a run. And it helped me cope with what I'd just seen. Obviously the first time I'd seen that on the battlefield, certainly, unfortunately, not the last. And I bet many of you have had similar situations in your lives. Whether it was on the battlefield or whether it was coping with a terrible diagnosis from a doctor or maybe the loss of a loved one, bad news at work or bad news in your family or among your friends. So what you do in these games is not just about a healthy, fit lifestyle, it's also about helping to cleanse your soul and renew your spirit. And that's also a critical part of these games. And third and finally, I just want to say thank you for your service. I know that you hear that a lot. I do as well, and I appreciate your great things. But as one veteran to another, and one who's now blessed to serve the people of Arkansas in the United States House, I just want to say thank you for what you fought for. And I think it's appropriate that these games are ending just a little more than a day before our Independence Day. You know, we have Veterans Day, in which we honor all of you for your service. We have Memorial Day, in which we remember those who gave the last full measure of devotion in defense of this country. But Independence Day is why we fought. We didn't fight for a tribe or a clan, as I saw or so many of you might have seen. We didn't fight to conquer or to gain territory, as happened with Nazi Germany or Imperial Japan. We fought to defend the American creed, that all men are created equal, that they are created with equal dignity and worth in the eyes of God, no matter their race, their nationality, their creed, their ability. They are all created equal. That's what binds us together as Americans. That's what Abraham Lincoln said is the electric cord that links every single person in this room to those people who fought 238 years ago. And while that old declaration is that electric cord, a piece of paper itself can't secure freedom. It takes the blood of men and women like those founding fathers, like the soldiers who kept the Union together, like the soldiers who twice defeated German tyranny, like the veterans who won the Cold War, and like those warriors who tonight are still on patrol in Afghanistan and other places around the world to secure our freedom. So from the bottom of my heart and all of the Arkansans I represent, I just want to say thank you for defending the American idea.
Thank you very much, Congressman Cotton. This time we'd like to